Hello, everyone. We're going to I'm going to answer your questions about mental health, relationships, healing from narcissistic relationships, toxic relationships. I have a course on that, and I specialize in personality disorders. And yeah, I used to be a personality profiler, so I know a thing or two. But the reason I talk about this a lot, and I think that sometimes if someone's new to my channel, they're like, "Why is she obsessed?" It's like, "Why are you obsessing about this? Did some guy break up with?" No, it is not that. A lot of people are affected by narcissists. Like, we grew up with one. Our primary caretaker was a narcissist, and it very much affected our worldview, our view of ourself, our self-concept, our self-worth, and how we operate in relationships. And that could be very damaging. And then you could keep attracting that dynamic until you heal it. Or you could just shut down emotionally in some way until you heal that. And it just leads to such a more fulfilling life. Hi, Bob. How are you? I just saw your Oh, oh, thanks. Yeah, I had fun making that short. It was funny. I just posted a short about like narcissistic DL men because it's June, it's Pride Month, and I'm like, come on, you guys, you're all gay, and you could just stop hating women and come out. Just come out. It's fine. But anyway, like I was saying, is that when you encounter a narcissist, especially when you notice it's a pattern and you heal that, that is the launch pad to the best era of your life, to the best everything, to the best relationships. Your health gets better, your wealth improves. Every single client I've had and every course student I have had that heals in that way, goes through that transformation, literally makes more money, their health gets better because their self-concept is better about themselves. It's a completely elevated. They have this very elevated sense of self-worth. So, of course, every area of your life is going to get better. So that is why I make the content. And yes, some of it is entertaining, and especially, like for instance, with the narcissistic men that are DL, and like they really do hate women because they want to be women. And so oftentimes, and I've been in, relationships with these type of men, it really erodes your self-esteem. And it really, the one of their goals is to kind of like strip you of your femininity and make you feel very bad about being feminine in any type of way. And if you're a man dealing with a narcissistic woman, and even if you're gay, straight, it doesn't matter. If you're a man that's like masculine, it could be very emasculating. It's so emasculating, right? So it really can be. It feels like soul draining and soul destroying in a way. Like a lot of people describe it that way, but it could literally lead to the best era of your life because you'll never put up with that again. Hi, Rob. Um, so not only will you never put up with that again, you have this elevated sense of self-worth. Like your concept is completely shifted in the most amazing way. So keep that in mind. And then I think it was Sunday for sure. I think we were talking about DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. And I haven't had a chance to make videos on it. I'm going to, but I do want to say there's so many like aspects of it to break down. And again, it does help with trauma. It helps with personality disorders. It's designed to help you regulate your nervous system. And so maybe I'll do a more delineated thing on it on Sunday because we always do a nervous system regulation thing on Soothing Sunday. So maybe I'll save it for Sunday. But it's that modality is designed to regulate your nervous system. And so the three aspects of it, if you're new to it, one is to, first of all, notice the behavior. So if you always have a pattern around something, it's like, just notice it without judging yourself. Hi, Miss Priya. Like, can you just notice it? Instead of going into, I suck, I'm terrible, and then this is the outcome that's going to happen. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that feeling is coming up. That thing that doesn't serve me is there. And just have an acceptance of it, right? Like it's in, letting go. Every technique, if you tap, if you do EFT, you first have to be aware of it and then have an acceptance, because if you like what you resist persists. So if you have this resistance towards it, you're going to actually create more of it. You're giving it energy in the way that you don't want. So it's having an acceptance of it. And it's like, okay, can I begin to change my behavior? Can I begin to have a different relationship with this thing, with my relationships, with my health, with alcohol, whatever the impulsive behavior is? Can I change that? And just being curious. So that's part of it. And the other part I want to say is like that I think is important, and I'll delineate more about this on Sunday, is that like one of the foundational things is called there's like 3 different minds that you have. And so one of your minds is the reasonable slash logical mind that suppresses emotion, basically overthinks about everything and kind of thinks its way out of things so they don't have to like feel emotions. And then there's the emotional mind, which is all emotional and everything is a catastrophe. Duh. And then there's the wise mind, which takes into, there's a very wonderful balance and like synergy and integration between the logical mind, the reasonable mind, and the emotional mind. And it's like, okay, from there I can make the best decision for me. That's not suppressing my emotions, because you don't get the outcome that you want when you suppress your emotions, and that's not going to lead to a fulfilling life. But you're not completely ruled by them, and they're not, swinging you around and hitting you against the wall, and you're not acting impulsively. So you have this wise mind where you're like, okay, let me tap into my feelings and see what they're trying to tell me, because your emotions, all emotions are just energy and motion, but they're informing you. They have information encoded in them. It's like how God and source also communicates with us. I do believe that. So it's like, what are my emotions telling me? And then what is my logical mind telling me? And how can I integrate those two in a way that they're balanced, right? So I'm not just using one over the other, or operating from one over the other. Yes, DBT. Yeah, Bob, you're the one that was reminding me of it. So I definitely, I love DBT. Like Bob was telling us sometime last week that he used that to get over or heal or regulate. You were basically saying it was to regulate your nervous system and get over some of the borderline personality defenses that you have. Because remember, these personality disorders, they're just a cluster of certain defense mechanisms that the brain is using to survive. And maybe it worked at some point, and it's just in adulthood, it's not working as well anymore. And so, yeah, DBT is great for helping you surrender those malignant defense mechanisms that don't work well in relationships. It's not conducive to having a healthy relationship. So thank you for bringing or sharing that with us, Bob, and reminding me. I might have to hop off soon to grab delivery, but oh yeah, no worries. Bob, we like so love and appreciate you being here and helping us. Like, of course. Miss Priya, since learning more about Jade, I notice I have more flashbacks of tense moments I was jading. Okay, so if you don't know, JADE stands for justify, argue, defend, explain, or engage. So I always recommend to not go into JADE with toxic people, because they want to fight. They don't want a conflict resolution. They want to argue. They literally are addicted to drama and thrive off of it and thrive off of your pain. So we're not going into JADE, justify, argue, defend, explain, or even engaging with them. And so, Miss Priya, what you're saying, I think that you're really hard on yourself, Miss Priya, because you've said this before about like just like the flashbacks could be it could be your inner critic being like, oh yeah, remember that one time you did this? Remember that one time? Instead of just like being like, oh, look, I integrated this new tool, this new behavior that's a healthier way to operate. And I'm going to like give myself a lot of credit for that. And I'm going to celebrate that win. Can you focus your mind? Can you like pivot your mind, Miss Priya, onto that? And it's kind of like, yeah, when I had those flashbacks, when I was operating from Jade or like giving people those, you were doing your best, right? You were feeling abandoned or offended or something, and you were doing your best and you didn't know about jade, but now you do. And like you immediately start incorporating it. So can you celebrate that win and tell your inner critic to shut the fuck up? Like I always tell you, your inner critic is this amalgamation, this huge mix of old voices, like from our parents, like our critical parents or people that we might have some wounding around. It's just like that tape that's running in the background. And we could be like, hey, I don't have to believe this anymore. This isn't true about me. I'm a great person. And yes, we all make mistakes. We all do things. And we've all gone into jade before. So it's okay. It's just about noticing it and then being like, okay, I don't need to do that anymore. So can you focus on celebrating your wins? I love it. Like, and Miss Priya, like when you ask great questions, and then when I give you advice, you're really good at incorporating it right away. So celebrate that. George Fernandez, be yourself and be happy. What the hell, if you want to change, party is here. Okay. Tap and sub. Thank you, Rob. Top tier tools from Miss Clayton. Thank you. Thank you. Bob, yeah, DBT is very effective at giving me enough time to regulate. Yes, DBT helps you also create that pause, because when we're operating from like these survival states of like just being like defensive, like, no, I'm gonna like, if the logical mind is like, I'm cutting this shit off, I'm like, or if the emotional mind is like, like you don't have that pause. You're operating from an old knee-jerk reaction that's probably based in some abandonment wound or something from the past. It's not actually, not even, you're having this reaction based on like an old trauma that hasn't been healed, or an old wound. So if you can have that pause and you could regulate and actually be in the present moment, and then the wise mind can take over. Let's see. Pizza is coming. Nice. Life had this is, what is that? Oh, little terabyte. I've had friends tell me they're always right. Oh, well, that's annoying to have friends that are always that always feel like they're right. I don't know if it's a full on like, personality thing, but we're not always right all the time, and that could be annoying. So with people like that, and again, it could be someone that's looking for a fight or an argument. Okay, sure. If someone's always right and there's no room for an actual conversation, then I would just be like, okay. I feel like having friends like that would be draining though, little terabyte. Miss Priya, my win is I feel good and I'm not gonna overthink, explain to certain people. Love it. Good job, Miss Priya. We love that. Congratulations on that. And if you guys have any wins, that's another thing I do on these live streams. If you have a win that you want to celebrate, it doesn't have to be like this big, huge thing. It could just be like, oh yeah, I had a different reaction to that. I went to bed 5 minutes earlier. Like, celebrate that. There is so much power in whatever you give energy to, you create more. Whatever you give energy to expands in your life more. So we want to do it for that reason, and just put out into the ether like, hey, I did this and I'm doing this and I'm creating positive momentum towards this. George Fernandez, to the party that you just miss. Little terabyte, yep. So shout out to that channel, of course. Miss Priya, I notice when I give an ultimatum, it never works. No, because it's kind of like threatening someone, and it's putting someone in a corner, and people don't like that. People's nervous system flares up when we do that. Give ultimatums. Like, if you don't stop or start doing this, I'm going to move out of the house or not speak to you, etc. So there's two things I see there. Like, if it's I don't know, if it's something that's like abusive, then I think that you should have your boundaries. I think it's very important to have like standards and boundaries. We talk a lot about that. And I'll often encourage you guys to literally write down, what are my boundaries and what are my standards for every area of my life, my health, wealth, relationships, career, my relationship to God, higher power. what does that look like? And really sticking to that. And really I mean, like, it's kind of like I show up for myself in this way. I only give my energy to people that show up for me in this way. And so if you have a boundary, Miss Priya, that's being violated, that's just setting a boundary. Now, an ultimatum is like, you better do this, or this is like, or this punishment is going to happen. But if it's a boundary that's different, it's kind of like, if I'm not willing to accept this behavior, and if the behavior continues, then I'm going to remove myself from the situation. I think that that's a healthy boundary. That's not really an ultimatum. Now, you could be manipulated and gaslit to be like, oh, you're giving me ultimatums. No, it's like, no, that's just my boundary. That's just my standard for myself and how I choose to be treated. Does that make sense, Miss Priya? The difference between that? George Hernandez all the time. What about you then? No, nothing wrong about a beautiful woman wants. Little terabyte. Yes, it was done with. Peace vibes. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like I really think it's important. I talk about this a lot, guys. Not that everything is going to be perfect and like wonderful all the time, but give your energy, your precious energy and your precious time to things that make your life better, to people that amplify your peace. And sometimes people like will challenge you in a good way, in a positive way, to get outside of your comfort zone. I love people like that. And so, yeah, having your comfort zone challenge isn't comfortable or like peaceful all the time, but it's expanding your life in a healthy way. So like give your energy to people that are positively contributing to your life and not dysregulating your nervous system and not, just disrupting your peace. Like we don't have time for that. And people that are really addicted to drama, it's a literal addiction. They're trying to numb out from their own life that they don't like for some reason, or a lot of numbing behavior is to suppress some trauma that they don't want to look at. And when we think of addiction, we just think of like alcohol and drugs. No, it could be drama, and you can be the supply for that, and you're just being used to supply for their doing more. They actually don't care. So that's why I'm saying disengage from people like this, or people that think they know everything. How small is your world if you know everything? Ugh, terrible. Thank you, George. Little terabyte, people in life get unsettled by love energy and purity. I've witnessed people start to twitch when I'm silent next to them. Yeah. I mean, that could happen. That could definitely, some people are a lot more comfortable with distance and just keeping things to the surface, like, in terms that's not real love energy, right? But, like, sometimes love energy is very threatening to people because people have these associations with love, like, it's going to leave me, or it's, like, so difficult. Like, for instance, avoidant attached people, or people that have avoidant tendencies, are like, love is overwhelming, it's too much responsibility, I might get abandoned, I don't like that. Both avoidant and anxious attachment have a fear of abandonment underneath everything, but the avoidant just feels like so overwhelmed, and it's like, this is too much, I don't want to deal with this. And then the anxious attachment's like, I need you, I need you, I need you. And there's never enough like that you could do to regulate my nervous system and make me feel like you want me. And so, I mean, both are like really hard, stressful ways to live. But yeah, people, it does continuously amaze me, especially the more work that I can, I'm working on myself, and I help others do the same thing, and it's like, the more I continue to go on my journey, it's like the more my capacity to experience like love and peace, um, you know, amplifies. And it's just when I see people that just don't want to live like that, they want to be miserable, they want to be chaotic. It's just like, wow, I don't even have time for that. And there was like, I used to be, I think, unconsciously addicted to chaos because I grew up in it and it was just familiar. And now I would not put up with any shit like that. It's just not a vibrational match anymore. So yes, welcome in. Deseo. I don't know how to pronounce that, but hello. We talk about mental health, healing from toxic relationships, neurological reprogramming techniques, Oreo Con, OB. Oreo Kenobi, sorry, right, has become the new word, and it's driving me crazy. People be explaining new info or differing opinion and just be feeling monologues with right or I want to say no. Anxious attachment and dated and avoidant. It did not go well. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just, and but the thing is like when you have unhealed attachment energy, so if you're anxiously attached and you always need like reassurance, you need like all of this attention from the other person, but it's never enough, you will attract an avoidant. Okay. And it's like they're literally opening that wound more and more again. And the avoidant is like, their wound is like, I'm not enough, you're gonna suck the life out of me, and that's what, like, please leave me alone, I need my autonomy, like that type of thing. And so they trigger the shit out of each other. And so and by the way, we all want to get to is secure attachment. So secure attachment is like, I can be loving and then I can express my love, and I just know that when you're gone or like, when we're at work doing our thing, that it's okay. And I don't need to like completely cut you off because I got threatened in some way. That's the other thing the avoidant does. They're like, okay, I'm done. No, no, I'm feeling too much or I'm feeling overwhelmed. There's no talking. And so instead, you have this balance of like, yeah, I can feel love for this person and I'm cool. Like, and even if something happens, I'll be good either way. Like that type of energy. And it's a very secure place to be. And I always have my clients work on secure attachment with themselves. And if they have any type of spiritual orientation, I'm like, I want you to have a secure attachment with God, like knowing that God or whatever you call God is always there for you and always loving you. And it's not like, oh my God, God hates me and I have to overperform and do all of these things. Or it's like, yeah, right, God doesn't exist. I don't, if it does, it doesn't care about me. No, it's like, yeah, God is always there for me. God is always providing, and I'm always safe and taken care of. So if you are on that journey of coming more into your secure attachment, start with your relationship with God and then also with yourself. Do you consistently show up for yourself? Are you always looking for some outside thing or not believing that anyone cares? You know what I mean? Um, hi. Boundaries and health. Boundaries are healthy and so necessary. You guys, you have to remember what your boundaries are and your standards. Um, I'm an anxious attachment. Oh yeah, sorry, I read that one. Psychology and feeling love, rational. Explain to me. Psychology in feeling love, rational. What do you mean? Can you word that again? Was. Um, the psychology in feeling love. I don't know what you're asking, but I would love to answer your question. Little Terabyte, I've been on SSRIs since I was 15. It saved my life, though I can't imagine growing up in the 50s with no mind med. Okay, I mean, if they're serving you, then that's fine. If you know about me, I'm not like the biggest fan of them, but I do like them. If you're like really in the depths of something and you're suicidal, it could be a support system, but eventually I want your brain to work on its own, and like you can start maybe going to saffron or like these other more natural things. But if it's working for you, and this is not medical advice, but in my private practice, I do a lot of times get my clients off of meds because they're having so many negative side effects from these meds. And then once they get over that, and also the cognitive bias that I need this to be okay, I need something outside of myself to be okay, that too. So not just on the physical end of things, but getting rid of that bias, because there is part of this like thing in parts of the medical industry, like you need this outside thing to be whole and complete. I promise you don't. Let's see, Rob, Lauren, how can I measure my progress with wife's toxic raging? Should I look at frequency versus tones, actions of raging behavior. So your progress has nothing to do with her, because if she has a rage addiction, and this is the hardest part about any addiction, they have to want to quit. They have to want to get better. And I think it's heartbreaking. I know it's heartbreaking sometimes, because it's kind of like you're not willing to release your addiction or work on it for this relationship, for the kids, for whatever it is. And they might not be, especially if you have enabled it for a certain amount of time, they're expecting you to keep enabling it. So your progress is about your reaction to things. And your progress is also like, just check in with yourself. Is my nervous system regulated, or am I getting like, I need to fix this, I need to fix this? And I would measure the progress on the least amount of action that you do, because with any type of addiction, but in this case, the rage addiction, they want you to fight. They want you to they use it to manipulate and control and keep this fight going. And so can you disengage from that behavior? So you're creating a new feedback loop. Then when she does that, you're not there. You're not engaging with that, because that's your new standard, right? That's your new boundary. When someone, your wife or anyone, starts raging at you like this, you're not available, because your energy and time and all of that is not given to people that do that to you, or engage in any type of emotional abuse or otherwise. So that's how I want you to measure your progress about your reaction to things. Are you getting into Jade, justify, argue, defend, explain, or engage? Are you doing any of that? And you could like write a little chart. Like sometimes I'll have my clients like write out the word Jade, and it's like how many times, that day or week. And then you see those numbers dwindle down. And then I also want you to check in with your body, because sometimes we don't, and this is kind of the trajectory. It's like, okay, we stop outwardly and it's really hard, but you're still like, oof, got to take a walk, got to do some push-ups or something. And that's another thing you could do, is just distance yourself. Like, okay, if you're doing this, I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go into my man cave, or whatever it is. And it's just like, just really making it very clear that you are not available for that type of behavior, and you're not going to respond to it. Yeah, maybe in the past you did, but from this moment forward, you're not. How does that sound, Rob? So it's about your internal reactions, like your external reactions, like how you're reacting to things and like not reacting, but also how your nervous system is regulated. And I promise you'll get to the point where that will happen. I think I've shared with you guys that my mother has a rage addiction, and like everything would just it was just like, oh, stop. Like, and now I hear about it from people, and I'm just like, sorry about that. Maybe you shouldn't talk to her. Like nothing. I have nothing. Can I listening you only? Yeah, you can listen only. You could, listen by itself. Bob, I got lucky this time around. New girlfriend is more secure and possessive, so it works well. Yes. And Bob, you didn't get lucky. You worked on yourself. Like attracts like, right? So what I'm hearing, Bob, is that you did enough healing around and regulating your anxious attachment to no longer attract avoidance. And you attracted someone with a secure attachment. So that is very peaceful and regulating to your nervous system, but you had to regulate your nervous system enough to attract someone like that. So give yourself credit for that. Good job, Bob. Miss Priya, when a parent says they struggled and sacrificed so much for you, and then expect you to stress and suffer for your kids to do the same, to do the same way, like they don't want you to be relaxed. Is that what that word says? Like, okay, yeah. So Miss Priya, that's a projection, and that's a form of manipulation and control. And so you could recognize it for what it is. And so a lot of times when parents have unresolved guilt or shame, or they've just been carrying this guilt or shame, and maybe they have a belief consciously or unconsciously that they're supposed to have guilt and shame from their parents. And so now it's their turn to project it onto you. And you could be the cycle breaker and be like, whatever guilt and shame you guys have is not mine to carry, literally. And you can visualize this guilt and shame that's a bunch of, I don't know, coal and black bricks and shit, and and whatever, like this big pile of poo, and give it back to them, or just release it, throw it into a fire, and just be like, I'm not doing this anymore. Whatever guilt and shame, like, that's on you. And by the way, you don't have kids so they can feel guilt or shame. The kids don't owe you anything. They really don't. So I would work on that. And really, Miss Priya, why don't you do like a journal entry and be like, from this moment forward, I'm not carrying any of my parents' guilt and shame. It's not my job to suffer because my parents want me to, or they feel like I need to. Like, that's just an old sick pattern. And it might be, cultural, it might be just transgenerational, like passed down through the generations, but it can stop with you. And you could decide, I'm going to be the cycle breaker, and I'm not doing this. If you have kids, you're not going to do that to your kids. And it just ends with you. And I don't have to carry any of these negative feelings that you want me to carry. Just say no. And you could actually say that to them, like, all of this, I'm not doing it anymore. Period. End of story. And it will feel really good to do that. But after that, when they try to pull you back in, you're like, no. Like, no is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. So you say, I'm not carrying your shit anymore. I'm not taking on this guilt or shame. You cannot manipulate or control me in this way. We're done. And if you try to do that again, then I will disengage. Like, there literally will be nothing to talk about. I'm not going to argue with you. I'll hang up the phone. I won't answer back, whatever it is. I'll leave. Just disengage. Little terabyte. The withdrawal is terrible from it. I know it is. I know. I mean, you could do it little by little, and then also know that the withdrawal is temporary. But I hear you. Bob, definitely. What's that? Definitely lit. I went cold turkey. Yeah. I went cold turkey when I stopped mine and legitimately hallucinated random squirrels. Yeah, that's a real thing. And that's my point. It's like, withdrawing from something should not be that bad. That's a very bad sign that it's toxic, and it's probably not good for your brain. Like, I mean, that also happens with sugar if you have like, if high sugar intakes. So, but yeah, these SSRIs, they're really dulling and muting parts of your brain, and it's just not healthy long term. But yes, it is painful and uncomfortable, and it can be done. So, keep us updated, but do what's best for you, little terabyte. Rob, her progress. What do you mean, Rob? Her progress? Where's progress? How can I measure her improvements or less rage? But yes, Lauren, I try my best to follow what you suggest, and that I do my own progress in coping. Yeah, and like, I know it sounds counterintuitive, Rob, but when you focus completely on yourself and not the person who's like their rage addiction, it gets better. Like, if you only focus on yourself, and then when you do that, all of a sudden they stop. Like, their compulsive behavior, in this case rage, will stop. And I don't know, like, the kind of the way you're asking me the question is like, is she saying, I did get better, I am getting better? It's like, as a way to like gaslight you, or like guilt trip you or something. Is that why you're so focused on her progress? Because really, the progress comes from like within, and noticing your reaction to it, because every dynamic is co-created. Every dynamic is co-created. So if she's like literally raging with the wall, then, she, like, with a rage addiction, you need another person to respond. So if you don't give her that, the progress will happen. And it's not just about like her. We have to take responsibility for what our part is in it, and then the dynamic can shift. It's just like anything. Like, if you rearrange the atoms in, what is the substance that goes from lead to a diamond, like carbon? Jesus. Okay, so carbon. If one arrangement makes a diamond and one arrangement makes lead, okay, like, it's just, or yeah. And so if you shift in some type of way, this is just energy, and this is just how energy works, then something else is going to happen. If I move this light like here, it's gonna do something different than, you know what I mean? So everything, when you shift, everything, like other things shift. And in Al-Anon, which is like the sister program to AA, so or any type of like the addictions, AA, NA, what they so it's for family and friends that are with someone like a or family and friends of the addict. And they're like, when your behavior shifts, they will shift. They will shift. But you have to really like change your behavior. So, but I'm telling you, I know it's counterintuitive, but definitely focus on yourself, Rob. Um, okay. I was in love with a girl, then studying psychology, became a scientist. My love changes to love science. Why? My became a scientist, my love changes to love science. I still don't know what that means. Um, it's you were in love with a girl, you started studying psychology and became a scientist. My love changes. I mean, maybe what you're trying to say is like you tried to think of everything scientifically, like if you're in love being in love with someone is like a co-created dynamic, so maybe you were, like, infatuated with her, and you were studying psychology to learn more about her or learn how you can get her, so you might have some type of infatuation that became, like, very analytical and scientific. If that's the case, that could happen, but I also think that there if like, do you have a pattern of this, of becoming, like, infatuated and then, like, not understanding why, and, like, are you running that relationship loop? And if so, you might wanna look into where you have fear around actual intimacy because it almost runs like an addiction, like, I can just be in this addictive feedback loop about this person and obsessing about them instead of engaging in a real intimate relationship where someone could actually show up for you, you know? Like, I see this a lot, like, how afraid people are of intimacy. So and that's a real thing. So if that's going on with you, don't there's no shame, there's no judgment in it, but it is something to look at. What about intimacy, like true emotional intimacy and connection is threatening to you? What is scary about that? What false beliefs from the past? Did someone leave you? Did someone hurt you? Like what? There's something there. And then you can integrate that or loop that in and heal that wound with inner child work and telling that 8-year-old that got abandoned, you're not 8 anymore and you're loved and taken care of, and that's not going to happen again. Okay, because we don't need to be afraid anymore, and when you stop being afraid, you'll stop attracting people that will abandon you, or you'll stop having just superficial relationships or whatever it is. You have this expanded capacity to experience love, and that's a very high vibrational state. That's like, love, peace, joy, Christ consciousness, authenticity. Those are all very high vibrational states. And our life is so much better when we can experience those things, especially with, the people that are in our lives. Rob, how can I measure? Oh, sorry, I just read that. But yes, Lauren, yes, I want you to measure your own process. Bob, appreciate the kind words, Lauren. Oh, of course. I mean, I think that's awesome. Yeah, Miss Priya, I heard what you were saying. Relaxed. Um, let's see, Mercury Mass, who? I don't think that's the case. Sounds like a whole list of psychologist projections about what? Um, I'm not here to project. I'm here to help you guys. BT dubs. Fresh, good evening. Hi, guys. Hi, Fresh. Um, Tia Mornay? Tia Morway? Oh, is that from I think I know who she is. We're actually, like, the same age, I think. Tia Mori. Is she the one that has the twin? Fresh, tired from the gym, but ready for bed. I love that. Props for going to the gym, exactly. Cheers, mate, good to hear. Bob, also the pressure is what creates the diamond, so if you're out there going through stress, just know you're in the process of forming into that diamond. Exactly. Exactly. It is so true. That, we need these like positive stress things in our life. Like just what I was saying earlier about like if you have someone in your life that's challenging you in a positive way, that's another like good pressure that's creating a diamond that's helping you be a better version of yourself or expanding your ability to something, right? And so no, depending on what that person is providing in your life. So yeah, when we have these ways we get out of our comfort zone. And that's like, especially in my programs. And, when I'm working with my clients, I'm like gently getting them out of their comfort zone. And I kind of like talk a lot of shit about therapists and psychologists that will keep a client for years, basically just like for financial reasons, and just sit there and be like, oh yeah, how does it make you feel? And really not do anything and just sit there. And there is a lot of value in creating space for someone to just talk and finally fucking be themselves. Like I definitely, like that. And I do that. But you also want to help someone evolve and expand. So you're not just like, what happens when anything stays stagnant? It gets moldy and smelly, and like we're here to evolve. So so yes, that pressure does create beautiful diamonds. Rob, thanks, dear Lauren. You're welcome. You're so welcome. Great analysis and analogies. Yeah, of course. Bob, I think that's the actress from Yes, Sister Sister. I grew up watching that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're the same age. Um, but people think I'm younger than I am. Peter, it's from Getting Rid of Narcissist. I'm telling you, if you scroll on my TikTok, because I talk about I promote NMN. I'm partners with this NMN company, and I really like NMN. It is an anti-aging thing. It helps like cellular damage. But anyway, this has a point. Like I have pictures of myself like when I was just in the throes of like narcissistic relationships, and it ages you. And so I just feel like I mean, even then I think I've always gotten feedback that I look younger than I am, but it was like, I don't know, I'm in a much better place now. So think about that too. Like these toxic relationships, if you're in the thick of them, like if you're married to someone, like this is why I want you to have those energetic boundaries and regulate your nervous system. So your cortisol isn't always on 10 and you're not always looking outside like, okay, are they okay? Okay. Like, okay, up there, okay. Because what is that? That's a cortisol spike that's constantly operating and walking on eggshells. So if you can regulate your nervous system, then everything will fall into place, and then your physical health and mental and emotional health will be better. Um, Peter Addison, self pride aside. Um, Bob, I know better than to ask a woman her age, but I'm turning 35 this month. Nice. Happy birthday, Bob. Let's all say happy birthday to Bob. Very nice. I mean, I don't know. I don't really care about age. Um, I'd say you're about the same age as me. Uh, uh, fresh. I don't know how old you are. Um, Pizza's here. Nice. Bob is making me want pizza. The other week, you guys were making me want burgers. James. Hi, James. Hi, Lauren. You look beautiful. Oh, thank you. Uh, love you too. God bless you too. We're blessed to have you on this live stream. So yeah. But and like also that is, speaking of the pressure and diamonds thing, like also guys, uh, think about I'm inviting you to think about like what area in your life could you get outside of your comfort zone? And that's hard. And here's why I think it's so important to actively look for ways that you can get out of your comfort zone in every area of your life: health, wealth, relationships, career, spirituality. And spirituality could just be like trusting God more, but like, or your relationship with yourself. Because if you don't, then eventually the universe, God will be like, okay, like I'm gonna kind of kick your ass with this experience, but it's for the best, right? So sometimes we have situations come into our life because we've been needing to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, and then this thing makes us, right? Like during COVID, I got a lot of like new clients that would come to me saying like, "Oh my God, I got COVID. I've always ignored my health, and that was the biggest wake up call. I'm ready, you know?" And so all I'm saying is like, can you do it before the wake up call happens? Because that way you're keeping your nervous system regulated, right? And then also there's this sense of like you get like a a deeper like dopamine hit when you take the initiative on something like you like, okay, I got to lose that last 10 pounds. I want to get this, or I want to, whatever it is, you know? So can you get outside of your comfort zone in that way ahead of time before, before like some crisis happens? Actually, Joe Dispenza says that all the time. He's like, don't wait for the crisis. Don't wait for the crisis. Just start going. Um, no, I don't. Oh, you're 33? Nice, fresh. I'm 44. So, that's what I'm saying. People think I'm like, but, I do think that it's from not stressing as much from these toxic ass people that try to stress us out, guys. We're not letting them. And I really mean that. It's so important. Your energy is so precious. I will continue to say that. Some of you guys, well, I don't know, not you guys, but people that are just like, I don't know, trying to troll me. They're like, you repeat yourself. Yes, bitch, I repeat myself because I help you create new feedback loops, which require repetition. But one of the things I will always continuously, like a lot, is like your energy is precious. And I think that a lot of people don't really understand how precious your energy is. Your energy is so precious, and only give it to people, places, things, circumstances that positively contribute to that, you know? Even down to like the media you're consuming. It's worth thinking about. It's like, okay, is this actually helping? Or is it, or is it a detriment, or is it actually doing something? And it could, and I'm talking about like if it's a TV show that makes you laugh, that's great, or are you binge watching something to numb out? See, you know what I mean? It's the differences. You can have like a little treat that you like, but are you binging a whole box of donuts? There's a difference. So we always want to be looking at that and like being very um, not strict, but just discerning about what you give your energy to. Um, Bob's got his pizza. We're happy about that for him. And so do you guys have any other questions before I wrap up? Those were the two things I'll go deeper into DBT. There's just so like when I think about it, I'm like, where do I start? But like really knowing that and thinking about that this week, like my logical mind, which is all rational and tries to numb emotion and is kind of afraid of feelings, and then my emotional mind, which is it's like very impulsive and compulsive, way modality. And then the wise mind that integrates the both, your emotions and your thoughts, and not being afraid of other, and then making a logical decision from there, but having that pause and hearing both sides out, like hearing the emotional side and all the things that the emotional side has to say, and then hearing the overload that's called reasonable or like logical mind, hearing what they have to say, and then coming to a compromise. I'm telling you, if you can start to integrate that in, especially if you have a challenge around a person or a certain behavior that you're wanting to modify, if you can start to implement that, you will see a big difference, and it will just lose its charge and won't have this charge or like control over your life like it used to. Okay, well, I'm gonna wrap up since I don't see any more questions, but I love you guys, and it's so great having you all on the live stream. And like, let's thank Bob again. Thank you, Bob, for your help. Hope you're enjoying your pizza. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone. You guys ask the best questions, and I like just love having you guys on here. And so I'll be on here next Sunday, or not, no, this Sunday, every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, and every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific. And, if you want more support around healing from toxic relationships, building up your self-concept, because it's not about the narcissist or the toxic person, it's about you, which is hard. Again, like we were talking about that with Rob, it's kind of hard to conceptualize at first. But if you want more support around that, download my course. It's called Recovering and Thriving After Toxic Relationships and Narcissistic Abuse. And I personally stay in touch with everyone that takes my courses and checks up on them. And then I'm probably going to go live again with the course. So I'm going to teach the course all the way through. So right now the course is it's like $149 or something like that. But when I go live, the price goes up to $350. So if you buy it now, then you just have that, but you still get to join the live course. So I always encourage people to get it ahead of time, because the week that I decide to go live with it and people that's when the price goes up. Just FYI. So you're not like, hey, what happened? But yeah. And I have 2 other courses. One's on imposter syndrome, which is an anxiety disorder where you just feel like you're a fraud and you're never good enough, and people are going to find out that you're not talented. The most talented people typically have it. And then Keto Zen is about low carb, low carb, low inflammation eating that's mostly keto based, which I think is the best diet for your brain, is a low inflammation. I mean, I've kind of switched to basically just carnivore. I eat potatoes, I eat certain things, but it's mostly just that now, because it's really good for your brain. And once you shift, your body will only crave those things. It's crazy. Oh yay, chat behaved while I was MIA. That's funny. Tonight has been much less trolly. Yes, it has been. But Bob, we so appreciate you. Thank you so much. I don't know if you heard when we were talking, or I was saying, thank you, Bob. And happy birthday, Bob. We'll just celebrate the whole month of June as Bob's birthday. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up now. And Bob, enjoy your pizza. Thank you again for moderating and helping us out. And thank you again for your amazing questions, you guys. I love you all, and I will see you Sunday. Bye.